Gentlemen, it is with great sadness and a heavy heart that I bring you this terrible news. It appears as though some of our fellow men have fallen prey to temptation yet again, casting their hard-earned coin at the feet of OnlyFans whores. Why? Why are we turning 18-year-old floozies into millionaires? Gentlemen, what is going on? Why do I keep seeing this? Now, of course, the men who watch this program would never do anything like this. The gentlemen who watch this program are high IQ legends. They are geniuses. They are savants. They would never subject themselves to the treachery of simping for an e-girl. However, the same cannot be said about another group of men. It seems as though another group, probably from the Cam Nuggets community, I'm not totally sure, is actively seeking out freshly 18 content. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this girl goes by the name Lil Tay, and she started an OnlyFans account a few weeks ago, claiming that all the content on it was filmed on her 18th birthday at 12:01 a.m. precisely. There was a lot of outrage and there was a lot of concern that some of the content on it might not actually be legal, because people were under the assumption that she had released this OF on her birthday, which actually wasn't the case. Her birthday was on July 29th, and she released the link a few days later on August 3rd. Regardless, after 3 hours of her releasing this link, she made $1 million. $1 million in 3 hours. Guys, the gender war's over and the women won. I hate to be that guy. I hate to say it. Here's a screenshot she provided of her earnings. If there are any guys watching this that donated to her OF, do you feel good? Do you feel accomplished? I hope that nut was worth it. A few of you might not know who this girl is, so allow me to fill you in on her backstory. Lil Tay has been a cultural figure for the last 7 years. She got famous riding the same wave of the Cash Me Outside girl, now known as Bad Baby. She was a child, simply that, saying provocative things on the internet for views.
9 years old, this Lil Tay, and I'm richer than all y'all broke ass, jigglypuff looking ass niggas. I'll fuck your mama, cause she a thought, and I'ma become your father. But I ain't spending money on child support. I'ma spend that money on foreign shit, bitch. 100,000 on my wrist. See this shit right here? That's Gucci, bitch. Y'all can't afford things like Lil Tay. I wear it as a belt. I wear it as a sash like I just won a beauty pageant, cause I slaying all these niggas, bitch. Y'all can't afford things like Lil Tay. I'ma keep flexing on the haters, nigga.
Something about children saying ratchet and degenerate things was a really popular form of content back then. I never really understood it, but that's what it was. Essentially, Lil Tay's claim to fame was just Catch Me Outside 2.0. She was being coached on what to say and how to say it by her older brother. They would use luxury real estate locations their mother was trying to sell to film it. This granted her the title, the youngest flexer on the internet. Her videos would be reacted to by Rice Gum, a very popular live streamer at the time, and this would be what puts her on the map. Shortly after, her accounts would explode with popularity, and she would receive dozens of invites to different podcasts and shows. But this tidal wave of fame wouldn't last very long. Eventually, she would fall into obscurity, as most people like this seem to do. Her last attempt at relevancy was to fake her own death. An announcement would go up on her Instagram claiming that her and her brother had died. Then later, she retracted this statement, saying that her account was hacked. Ah yes, the oldest trick in the book. It seemed as though her 15 seconds of fame were up and that most people had forgot about Tay. But now she's back, going from the youngest flexer on the internet to the youngest girl on OnlyFans. I'm not too sure that is something you should be proud of, but here we are. Once again, our society is just making celebrities out of the worst kinds of people. Lil Tay has always had this sort of gravitas. She's always talked about brokies and being rich and all of this as a part of her character. But now, after achieving 1% status on OF, she believes anyone that holds a regular 9 to 5 after being 25 years old has basically given up on life. More on that in a bit, but for starters, I want to talk about this term, freshly 18. It's meant to elicit a feeling of revulsion, for obvious reasons. On its face, the implication is that the person just turned 18. and they're still too young, too impressionable, too immature to know any better, and they are at risk of being taken advantage of by older people. You will most often hear this phrase be thrown about by a middle-aged harpy who's upset that an 18-year-old girl is dating a guy who is significantly older. The girl could be 18 for several months. She could be 18 and 11 months old, and you'd still hear the same kind of screeching about freshly 18. Now, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of those types of relationships either. I wouldn't do it myself. I'm attracted to women around my same age group. Yet, at the same time, if consent can be given at 18, who are you to oppose it? Who are you to tell anyone that they can't do it or that they shouldn't do it? Like, really, what other argument is there other than I think it's gross, I don't like it personally? The reason I use the term freshly 18 at the beginning of this video is because of a concerning trend that I have recognized on the internet in recent years, which has developed into the normalization of fetishizing young people turning 18. Now, obviously, this has been around for a long time on the fringes, but I think because of the accessibility and popularity of OF, this has become a mainstream appeal, and it's fucking weird. Lil Tay even knows this and has leaned into it, making freshly 18 a staple on her X bio. Let me do my best to explain why I'm okay with one and not the other. For starters, let's say you have an 18-year-old and a 25-year-old. They meet under normal circumstances, be that a concert, a party, or some type of third area, and they start to like each other. I don't see this as necessarily predatory, given the fact that the focal point of the attraction is not on the younger person being 18. Is it weird? You could say that. But if at 18, that is the age in which consent can be given, you don't really have much of a leg to stand on outside of I personally find it icky. Now, obviously, the intentions of the older person matters a lot in this scenario. But let's just say, simply put, that they like the same things, they're attracted to each other, and both can consent. Then it is what it is. However, what I do find predatory are the people that actively seek out freshly 18 content. They are creating a market for this type of content, which can only be supplied by 18-year-olds. The focus here is on the fact that the person is as young as legally possible. That is sus. That is weird. This isn't even just a problem with young girls now either. Bonnie Blue has been making headlines about her attraction to barely legal men wanting to get with them and film OF content with them.
And in November last year, there's something in Australia called schoolies.
Okay.
So it's fresh 18-year-olds. They've just finished school. They go partying.
Right.
To be fair, they came to me. They was like, coming to the location I lived at. So I was like, I'm going to open my door to them.
Of course.
And I loved it. They loved it. And it made me rich.
Okay, chat to me because I need to know all about this, right? So you've got freshers.
Yeah.
Do they have to sign? Because do you post the videos from that online?
Yeah, because it's free for them.
They have to sign consent forms. Okay.
So they come in, have to show me ID. Have to
Okay.
have photos with their ID,
Yeah.
and then they sign consent forms.
And does the consent form just say I'm posting this online?
Yeah, it's just like a generic OnlyFans. Do you like accept? Are you being like forced into it?
Okay.
I'm like, are you being forced
I
into
mean,
it?
if they're queuing, I guess probably not to.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, people think like it's wrong or like I force them into it. I'm like, they're queuing for over 8 hours down that line.
Yeah.
They very much want to be here.
Do the videos do well or do better if they're good looking or if they're a little bit of a minger? Respectfully.
Mingers.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know your virgin ones do well.
Oh, yeah. I'd say like for my pussy, the good looking ones do
Right.
better because my pussy get them straight in.
Of course.
Sometimes when they don't look as good looking, like struggle sometimes a little bit, but a bit of spit, I'm all good.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, the minging ones, I guess, sell better.
This has become such a relevant topic today that now even the UK is proposing legislation to ban this type of barely legal, freshly 18 content, which I think is a step in the right direction personally. But Chris, what about freedom of speech? What about 18 being the legal age of consent? Well, I agree. 18 years old is the legal age of consent. However, we restrict 18-year-olds from working behind the counter at bars. We restrict 18-year-olds from smoking cigarettes. And in that same exact way, we can restrict 18-year-olds from entering the adult film industry. I'm not sure what direction this type of legislation will go in, but if it's something like that, I actually support it. Yeah, legal age of consent, 18. legal age to film porn, now that's another story. Those two are not mutually exclusive, actually. Just because you can have sex doesn't mean you should be allowed to film it and put it on the internet before you've even left high school. A lot of coomers aren't going to be happy with a take like that, but I actually don't think that young people should be enticed into the adult film industry. Instead, they should be focusing on a meaningful career, finding a husband or wife, and having children. I know, hot take. As a former child myself, I can attest that no kid wants their mother being a digital prostitute. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk about this perceived financial benefit that a lot of young girls think they're going to have by going down a career like this. This is important because now Lil Tay is trying to convince other girls her age to follow in her footsteps.
If you're over the age of 25 and you're still working a 9 to 5, you are a failure. Like, by then you should have already made your bag. And ladies, every single one of you should drop the link like me. Like, just literally just make your bag. Who gives a f what anybody thinks? Screw your family. My family kicked me out. I got disowned. They don't talk to me anymore. They don't f with me. But who gives a shit? I can literally buy their whole life if I wanted to. I'm good. Also, fuck education, because Harvard was never going to help me make 8 figures. That's why I dropped out of it, and I dropped the link instead.
For Lil Tay to make that much money, $1 million in 3 hours, is beyond shocking. It's insane. Let me put it in perspective for you. It would take the average salary earner in the United States 15 years to make what she made in 3 hours. She made essentially $5,500 a minute. That is $92 a second. Is it setting in yet? At some point, you can see how a young, dumb, impressionable girl could think that the risk is worth the reward. Especially because, let's face it, Lil Tay is not exactly a 10 in the looks department. So what would be stopping a better looking girl from making equal, if not more money? I can also see how in an economy like this, it would seem like an attractive option. The cost of housing is going up. The cost of food is going up. The cost of schooling to get a good education, to have a good career, is going up. Everything is getting more expensive. And you know what? Lil Tay is right to an extent. A conventional career path is not going to make you that kind of money. It's just not. But here's the issue. The devil is obviously in the details. Most girls are not Lil Tay. Most girls did not become a cultural figure at 10 years old. The only reason why Lil Tay was able to make that much money in such a short amount of time is because she already had clout. Most girls leaving high school don't even have 500 followers on Instagram. More or less 500 men willing to spend money on their OF the moment it drops. That means 75% of these women on OF sold their soul and their future for less than the price of a Fitbit. For 18-year-old girls to think that they have the marketing capability and intelligence to reach that top 10% that even make a living wage, or the 1% of creators on OF that actually make above 6 figures a month, is delusional. But the thing is, that's not the truth that most of these women hear. Instead, they think they're just going to trip into success, that it's super easy. They see headlines like this and think OF is their ticket to financial freedom. It's not. Instead, it's more likely that they are going to ruin their relationships with the people around them, not be able to make enough money to support themselves, and then drown in their own regret. Most girls that age don't even have sex with a guy without regretting it later. And yet you think that they should be allowed to sell their naked photos over the internet? Yeah, sure, what could go wrong? Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Chris, it's a woman's choice to do what she wants with her body, and I hear you. I do. I just think it's a hard sell coming from the only gender that doesn't have mandatory draft conscription. All right, and so the last thing I want to talk about are these godforsaken simps that are bankrolling the e-girls. Dudes are out here today complaining that women act as though they are God's gift to man, that they have this superiority complex, that they don't need to bring an equivalent effort to any relationship. I see it too. Some women literally act as though they are the table. They don't need to bring anything to the table. They are the table. They can lock down a top tier guy, that they deserve a top tier guy, simply by showing up. That is beyond hypergamy, and it irritates me as well. But I gotta ask, where do you think they got this idea? How do you think this happens? You think women just woke up one day and decided that they are better than the average guy? No! Unfortunately, we have a concerning amount of men that throw their time, money, and attention away at random women online for simply posting pictures of themselves. These women already don't have to provide any substance to garner resources from these men. No wonder they feel like they're entitled to princess treatment. When you are bombarded with validation for nothing but your looks and your looks alone, and that's all anyone seems to care about, that is the epitome of I am the table. Something like OnlyFans was always gonna come from this type of dynamic, because we live in a society where everyone's trying their best to monetize every aspect of their lives. It's the only way anyone feels like they can get ahead anymore. And so, if all women need is their looks to command value from men, then obviously they're gonna leverage that for their benefit. And honestly, who can blame them? The game is rigged in their favor. These platforms, X, Instagram, OF, they benefit from this type of arrangement. The algorithms reward women who show off in more explicit ways. That is because men are tripping over themselves in the comments, which keeps the engagement high, which encourages more women to show off in more explicit ways. These dudes simping their little hearts out in the comment sections, they're not just victims. They're actively making a decision to throw away their dignity into the void at the possibility of interacting with their favorite e-girl. It's really disheartening when I see a thirst trap and I go to the comments section expecting to see a bunch of based epic guys, and instead it's just a wave of simps saying queen, goddess, acting as though if they put enough fire emojis at the end of their one-worded compliment that maybe she'll notice him. These guys are out here morally, financially bankrupting themselves, acting as though they are one super chat away from true love. On one hand, it's sad. It's like a puppy dog begging for attention. On the other hand, it's revolting because it's super unbecoming of a man. They think they're out here just being nice when in reality, they are suckers being profited off of. Now, some of you might be wondering, Chris, what does this have to do with Lil Tay? Everything. Most women would not go down this path. They wouldn't start posting thirst traps. They wouldn't start an OF if they didn't believe it would be beneficial in some way, shape, or form. Don't get me wrong, these women are not completely innocent either. Actually, not by a long shot. They should have the moral character to not go down this path, even if it was guaranteed to be financially beneficial, which it's not. But many of them don't even do it for the money. They do it for the love of the game. They do it for the love of the game. They love the fact that men grovel at their feet for attention. So even if these guys aren't out here feeding these women's wallets, they're out here feeding the woman's ego, which is just as bad. If you want this sort of lust baiting online from women to stop, short of just banning them from the internet, there's really only one way to get there, and that is by not making it beneficial. In short, by not engaging. I think what everyone should do, the moment they see a thirst trap pop up on Instagram, Facebook, wherever, just block the account. Just immediately block the account. That is my challenge for any man watching to start doing from now on. The moment you see a thirst trap, just block the account. I hope some of you do it, but from the comments I've seen, I don't really have much faith in my fellow men these days, to be honest. Here's some final food for thought. A lot of Gen Z guys were infatuated with the likes of Andrew Tate. He kind of became the voice of the disaffected young man after he mainstreamed the red pill content. You had a lot of guys, a lot of kids, they were going around their classrooms asking their teacher, "What color is your Bugatti?" A lot of guys that had problems with women and dating looked up to Andrew Tate as sort of a spokesman, but sort of like a life coach in a way. How did Andrew Tate make his fortune again? He created a cam business where he got women who liked him to sit in front of a camera and solicit money from lonely men in chat rooms. The worst part is it wasn't even the women who were chatting with these men. It was Andrew Tate himself putting on woman face, soliciting money from lonely men online. So I wonder, how is this any different than what Lil Tay's doing right now? Except she cut out the middleman and she's being more honest because she's the one actually speaking to her subscribers. She's essentially the Andrew Tate for women. She preaches the exact same message of your morals are in your way. Get your money up, brokey. Now, I will admit there's more to the red pill stuff than this, and I am oversimplifying it. Andrew Tate is not the spokesman for the red pill, but I can't help but see the parallels here. To me, it just seems like the whole foundation is rotted to the core. Like, this is just two sides of the exact same coin. Is this really what men and women should be doing today? Scamming people? Preying on people's primitive inclinations to achieve monetary gains? Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna be lectured about working a regular job or being a brokey by a whore and a pimp who equally contribute nothing to society and are instead just furthering its decay. Andrew Tate and Lil Tay aren't exactly the best role models for honest and meaningful success, are they? You know, should I take the same lecture from a drug dealer or a tech support scammer next? Probably not. But if all that matters in this world are hedonistic material pleasures, then I guess you could make that case, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? Are we cooked? Is society over? Is it even worth saving anymore, guys? Anyways, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to tell me what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.